Cobra Kai Season 4. 2 words. Holy. Once again, this season was well worth the wait, and if you're watching this video right now, I'm sure that you agree. There were so many ups and downs, twists and turns, and with Season 4 ending once again on another crazy finality, to quote the great Jim Ross, business is about to pick up. Once again, I have many videos on the way, but first, let's talk about what you missed in Cobra Kai Season 4. It should go without saying that there are spoilers, so if you haven't seen Season 4 yet, drop what you're doing, hell, quit your job if you have to, so you can see how awesome the current season is. And before we get started, if you're not a part of the biggest Cobra Kai Discord server, you should fix that. Click on the link in the description to join the server right now. It is the largest and most active Cobra Kai community on Discord with over 10,000 members. Who knows, you might find me and a few others you know in there. First, let's talk about the Easter eggs. Since there are quite a few, I'll try to break these down episode by episode in the description, starting with episode 1. Let's begin. Silver rejects the call Kreese made at the end of Season 3. This is picking back up right where they left off at the end of Karate Kid Part 3. Silver angry and also having moved on from Mike Barnes losing to Daniel LaRusso at the 1985 All-Valley Tournament, causing a rift between Silver and Kreese. When Johnny and Daniel are instructing their students to clean the vehicles, Daniel of course is instructing them in the age-old wax on, wax off. When Chris goes to throw up from training, he borrows in most likely the same or a similar boat Mr. Miyagi owned from the Karate Kid. As we'll see a lot more later on during the season, Johnny responds to Daniel's issue with the training, "Sue me for what?" from Rocky V after Rocky knocks out George Washington Duke. When Hawk is sparring with Mitch and kicks through a screen, this is reminiscent of Dennis wrecking a screen inside Miyagi's shop in the Karate Kid Part 3. After training, Amanda muses on the fact that the family's safety depends on a karate tournament, and a callback to Amanda missing the normal days of dicks on billboards in the Season 2 episode Fire and Ice. Another Rocky reference is made when Miguel brings up Rocky 3 to Johnny, where Apollo agreed to train Rocky despite their heated rivalry in the past, and also a nod to Season 1 episode Molting, where Johnny tells Miguel how he met Ali. The infamous love triangle, or square if we're including Tori, is brought up again during Sam's conversation with Robbie, and we hear a similar music cue to the song Sam and Robbie from the Season 2 soundtrack as they're talking. This scene is also very reminiscent to Padme pleading with Anakin to change his ways from Star Wars Episode 3, though the difference is that Sam and Robbie are standing on opposite sides. One of my favorite moments of the episode is where Terry, in a very meta way, talks about how crazy he was during the events of Karate Kid Part 3, especially due to the fact that he was terrorizing a teenager over a high school tournament. Speaking of KK3, this scene is also similar to where Kreese and Silver are talking on a balcony in that movie. When Daniel offers to hash things out over a beer, this is very similar to what occurs in the video game where you unlock the true ending and Daniel and Johnny agree to resolve their differences after fighting Kreese, which we know that fight took place in Season 3. When Robbie is challenging the entire Cobra Kai dojo to a fight, we see a shot very similar to where he and Daniel were training, which in itself was a nod to the lessons coming together in the Karate Kid. This scene is also a nod to the Karate Kid Part 2, where Chozen was able to defeat multiple attackers in his dojo as he was teaching class, which is what Robbie is offering to do. Tori being able to land a hit on Robbie is also what happened in Season 2 when Miguel let his guard down thinking the fight was over. One of my other favorite moments of the episode is where Hawk is seen helping rebuild the dojo with the sledgehammer, very symbolic as he was the one who led the attack to trash Miyagi-Do back in Season 2. What's also interesting to note, as a theme we note later this season, Hawk says both Daniel and Johnny were right in their own ways, so he's building a bridge, foreshadowing to later dialogue and Hawk's character growth later in the season. As noted by Hayden Schlossberg on Twitter, Cayman Wimes is a real winery started by Robert Mark Cayman, the original writer of the Karate Kid trilogy. When Terry kicks the wine against the wall, the music in the background is his theme from Karate Kid Part 3, which played during a similar scene where he was sparring with people in his house. First learned stand is a reference to one half of a statement we hear Mr. Miyagi tell Daniel when he asks about learning the crane kick. During the opening of the episode, we see Dungeon Lord is also a video game, an entity Dimitri refers to in both Season 2 episode All In and the Cobra Kai video game as one of his attacks. As Daniel is on his way to help train Johnny, he whistles Hare Krishna, the same melody he sung to Mr. Miyagi when playing around with the Sanders. Johnny also makes a reference to his cement truck training from the Season 2 episode Back in Black. When Daniel and Johnny agree to train each other in their respective styles, Johnny sticks out his hand to shake on the deal, but Daniel says there's no need to, slightly mirroring what happened when Daniel and Miyagi made a pact in the Karate Kid, with Daniel standing on the same side. This could also be a subtle reference to Rocky 3 where Apollo trains Rocky in his boxing style to combat Clubber Lang. When Amanda is telling Tori that she is sending her a message, this could reference one of two things: Sato instructing Chozen to leave a message to Miyagi, or back in Season 1 in a similar manner where Louis, another LaRusso, was leaving a message to Johnny Lawrence. During the basketball game, the triangle between Leah, Anthony, and Kenny echoes what happened between Johnny, Daniel, and Allie during the Karate Kid, though the roles are reversed with Anthony being in the role of the bully. On the subject of the first film, we get another callback where Johnny is tired of painting the house side to side, similar to Daniel's frustration with his training, and another moment recreated where Daniel chops the bottle like Mr. Miyagi did. What also convinces Johnny to continue his training, and a personal highlight of the episode for me, is when they finally address where Mr. Miyagi saved Johnny's life, while also showing some unused footage from the second movie. Meanwhile, at Cobra Kai, instead of learning Miyagi-Do like his father, Robbie is teaching the Miyagi-Do blocks he learned from his time training, continuing the lessons coming together reference from the first movie. Johnny learns to wax on, wax off, and sands the floor while Daniel talks to him about the origins of Miyagi-Do, and also recounts a lesson about walking in the middle of the road, and makes a subtle reference to the next Karate Kid when telling Johnny, ambition without knowledge is like a boat on dry land. Johnny learns to hit the nail in one try, with all this going on while in the background, the Training Hard rendition from Karate Kid Part 3 plays during the montage. Johnny also falls into the water like Daniel did out on the lake. Daniel also teaches Johnny the lesson about the best defense to not be there, which we see he employs later on in a different context. When confronting Amanda about Tori's situation, Kreese tells her to leave the girl alone, in a reversal of roles where Miyagi confronts Kreese about leaving Daniel alone. As Johnny trains Daniel in the ways of Eagle Fang, we see Daniel climb the rope during the montage in a callback to notable Karate Kid-esque film Sidekicks, where Barry climbs the rope in gym class. Daniel is also trained in some Cobra Kai methods, doing push-ups on his knuckles and also mastering the pitching machine like Johnny trained Miguel with back in Season 1. At the end of all this, Daniel lets out a scream similar to Rocky doing so at the end of an exercise during some notable montages throughout the series. We once again see the parallel as Anthony being the Johnny to Kenny's Daniel, where they corner him, hold him up, and chase after him similar to the Halloween chase and fight in the Karate Kid. At the hockey game, Johnny tells Daniel that he's tougher than a prima donna, something Kreese called him during Daniel's second visit to the Cobra Kai dojo. Daniel learns to strike first in a callback to the Season 1 fight Johnny has with Kyler and his gang, and also to the Halloween fight from the first film, going so far to end the fight in the same stance. As Kenny's video goes viral, it is very similar to what happened to Aisha in Season 1, and it's revealed that Kenny is the younger brother of Sean, an inmate Robbie had scuffles with in Season 3. Then Learn Fly is referencing to the second half of the quote Miyagi tells Daniel about learning the crane kick. As the Okinawan sparring deck is finally built, we see some more references from the first two films. As they spar in similar manners, Johnny learns to meditate, the umpire suit is brought back out, Johnny readies his crane kick, and Daniel almost hits Chris in the primary target. The song played during the montage, Two Heads Are Better Than One by Power Tool, is from the soundtrack for the film Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which the song itself is pretty self-explanatory of Johnny and Daniel working together, and also the fact that Johnny and Daniel's relationship at this point in time is almost like a buddy cop, buddy film type of friendship. At the end of the montage, we see the van customized with the Eagle Fang logo in a callback to Johnny's Challenger in the episode Back in Black. When Johnny throws the bottle cap, Daniel catches it in a similar manner like Miyagi did when Julie threw a towel at him in the next Karate Kid. The show gets meta again when Johnny can't recognize Anthony, and they mutter under their breaths at each other again like indifferent but sane. Amanda also recalls what happened in the same episode where it was tense between Daniel and Johnny after Louis trashed Johnny's car. Johnny tells Miguel to make sure he doesn't turn into a cream puff, something we heard Johnny get called during his match with Daniel in 1984. Back at his house, we see Terry reliving some flashbacks from his time in Vietnam, something we saw plenty of back in Season 3 where it expanded upon Kreese and Silver's relationship outside of Karate Kid Part 3. The "is that real coy" joke makes a return after Dimitri and Ron pointed it out previously in Season 2 and Season 3 respectively. As Miguel falls in like Johnny and Daniel did, Daniel remarks like Miyagi that Miguel is all wit behind the ear. Dimitri tells Sam about the things he heard about Johnny's training adventures in Season 1, where Miguel almost drowned and Eli getting bit by a dog. As Johnny is training the Miyagi-Dos, he goes in a reverse of what Miyagi told Daniel that they must first learn to fly instead of stand. As Kenny is trying out for Cobra Kai, Kyler keeps scaring him off the mat in the same manner that Daniel did in both Karate Kid and Karate Kid Part 3. Johnny and Sam also hash out some of their earlier interactions, specifically Yasmin crashing into Johnny's car in Ace Degenerate, and Daniel kicking in Johnny's door in No Mercy. As Robbie is teaching Kenny in the backyard, he tells him to always look his opponent in the eye, something he learned from Daniel, who learned this from Miyagi. While helping fix Carmen's car, Daniel tells Miguel about the many times he had to help get his car running with his mom, as seen in the Karate Kid. He also tells Miguel that his path wasn't so easy regarding finance, as he spent his money on a plane ticket to Okinawa, won it back in an ice-breaking contest, and lost it again investing into a bonsai tree store. We see another flashback between Kreese and Silver's relationship, where he has his signature ponytail for the first time chronologically, and how the Cobra Kai dojo is formed, and they make the pact that we hear famously in Karate Kid Part 3, Cobra Kai never dies. We see a parallel between Johnny's run and Sam's run as they both learn to fly in their respective battles. Kenny finally makes his tryout as he struck first with Kyler and landed a hit on his opponent. Miguel finally understands the concept of Miyagi-Do as he moves in a circle and catches the fish, in a similar manner to how Daniel caught the fly in The Karate Kid, especially when Hawk notes that this is impossible. Miguel also earns his headband and recreates a scene in the first film where Miyagi gives Daniel the headband. Bicephaly is defined as having two heads, a reference to Kreese and Silver teaching Cobra Kai together. The computer lab is mentioned from the events of Season 2, and the cafeteria is also mentioned from Season 1 where Miguel fought Kyler. Miguel demonstrates his Miyagi-Do technique like Robbie did with Daniel and Daniel did with Miyagi, and also learning the breathing technique from Karate Kid Part 2. Dimitri takes a hit to the primary target in a manner similar to Bloodsport, though this time it's a kick and not a split punch. This movie gets referenced in the following scene where Kyler is inviting Tori and Robbie to watch it at a drive-in. As Silver and Kreese get ready to teach, they battle each other like they did in Karate Kid Part 3, minus the party time. As Carmen and Johnny are spending time together, they talk about Top Gun and Johnny's dislike for Maverick, who is the rival to Iceman in the film. When Miguel and Daniel are working on the car again, it turns out that his history teacher, Mr. Harris from the first film, went out briefly with his mom. They also recreate the scene of Daniel driving Miyagi's truck when Miguel doesn't know how to drive and Daniel offers to teach him. As Robbie is teaching Kenny, Silver comes in and recounts rule number 1 of the Quicksilver method. A man can't stand, he can't fight. As Silver asks Robbie to show him what he's learned, he catches Robbie's fist like he did with Daniel when training him in Karate Kid Part 3, and the scene also parallels Silver teaching Daniel how to sweep at Miyagi-Do, though Silver dodges the sweep with Robbie in a similar manner to how Johnny did in Season 3. We see more parallels with Miguel and Johnny, as it's revealed that Johnny's father left at a young age, and Miguel's mother left his father when they were young. Miguel and Daniel also note that they both were from different areas and moved to Reseda to get a better life, with Daniel moving from Newark, New Jersey, and Miguel moving from Riverside after moving to the US from Ecuador. Miguel and Sam kiss in front of Tori, in a reference to both Glory of Love, where Tori kissed Miguel in front of Sam, and Sam and Miguel kissing in Pulpo in front of Tori. Daniel tells Miguel that he's going to pretend he never heard of Chicago, and later on, Miguel talks about some of the songs that Peter Cetera sang, notably Glory of Love, the theme song from Karate Kid Part 2. As Bloodsport plays in the background, we see Frank and Paco trade kicks, and Frank winning the fight ultimately on the same side of the screen that Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang stand on, noting that they get the better of Cobra Kai at the baseball diamond. Kreese tries to recount the events of Karate Kid to Silver when Miyagi came to confront him, telling Silver that he wasn't there. Johnny also tells Miguel that he couldn't leave well enough alone, and doused him with the hose, in a reference to Daniel getting Johnny wet during Halloween. We of course see some flashbacks from Karate Kid Part 3 as Silver and Kreese approach Daniel and Johnny. At the beginning of Match Point, we see Daniel bringing Johnny up to speed with who Terry Silver was and what happened during the events of Karate Kid Part 3. Silver tells Cobra Kai not to fight before the tournament in a similar manner to see how Kreese told his class no one touches the prima donna before the tournament in The Karate Kid. We see Hawk rocking purple hair, symbolizing him accepting both styles of Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang. As Yasmin catches Dimitri in school, she tells him that she'll be an admirer from afar, something he told her during Different But Same. As Hawk finds out about Moon breaking up with Piper, he asks Dimitri, how many weeks is weeks? In a similar manner to Daniel finding out Allie having broken up with Johnny. When Amanda asks if there's anyone else who could come from the past from Cobra Kai, Daniel said that there may be someone else, a subtle reference to Mike Barnes. We see and hear more Rocky references, as Burning Heart by Survivor from Rocky IV plays while Johnny runs on the beach similar to Rocky III. As Johnny is punching through the wall, this could be a reference to the opening of the original Street Fighter game, or The Shining, where Jack Nicholson says, "Here's Johnny." In another subtle reference to sidekicks, Johnny breaks through the cement blocks, which is also a callback to Fire and Ice. Johnny also kicks through the water and waves in a similar manner to Daniel training in the water during The Karate Kid. We also see a montage of different flashbacks from The Karate Kid, previous seasons, and the deleted scene where Daniel tackles Johnny after a blueberry pie. We also see Daniel saying "don't apologize," similar to Johnny also trying to reach out and saying the same thing back in Let's Begin. Sam also pops the bottle cap similar to how Johnny does, first seen in Season 1. Terry Silver also recounts a speech about the 3D, desire, devotion, and discipline. He also asks his students to respond with conviction, just like he told Daniel during training. Daniel trains in his own montage with a musical cue similar to Secrets of Miyagi-Do, the song played when Chozen trained Daniel in Season 3. As we cut to Hawk on his phone, the shot is similar to All In, where we see a shot of Hawk's back. His message to Moon is also interrupted, similar to Johnny sending a message to Allie in Glory of Love. As Daniel and Johnny finally get their Rocky III-like spar, they are standing in the same places as they did in the All Valley. Daniel hits the Miyagi-Do pressure points, however, Johnny finds a way to counter it, being the first person to do so. As the match ends, it ends in a double knockout and a callback to Rocky II as both Apollo and Rocky fall to the mat at the same time, and also to what my friend Tyler predicted if a fight between Johnny and Daniel took place if Johnny joined Miyagi-Do during Karate Kid Part 2. And although they did my boy Hawk dirty,
look at the top of his head!
ironically, his haircut is similar to another Hawk, the name of a wrestler who was one half of the Road Warriors. Kicks Get Chicks refers to what Johnny Lawrence tells a prospect in reference to joining his dojo during the episode Esqueleto. The Blue Masks get brought up again as an increase in attendance, which is what they discussed during the All Valley meeting in Season 1. During the same meeting, we see some foreshadowing from the first on-screen female competitor, Aisha Robinson. With the new All Valley rules, we see some more references to sidekicks with the addition of a weapons and skills division. Dimitri visiting Eli to motivate him to fight again is very similar to the manner where Apollo was convincing Rocky to fight again. We also finally see the Binary Brothers video, which was mentioned in Mercy Part 2. Dimitri goes on to admit that it was specifically Hawk who inspired him in Season 1 and Season 2 to take up karate. Amanda talking to Daniel about helping Tori is a parallel to Miyagi helping out Daniel because Tori reminds herself of a younger Amanda. We see the return of Aisha in a similar manner to how Aisha inspired Sam to take up karate again in Season 1. Aisha inspired Sam to take charge of a rivalry with Tori. When Johnny brings up the film Ladybugs to Miguel and talks about his plan to disguise Mitch, the character who dressed up in the movie was played by Jonathan Brandis, who played Barry in Sidekicks. We hear a callback to Season 2 with the "I'm coming for you," though this time it's Sam who says this to Tori. At the beginning of Minefields, Anthony's friend remarks that everyone is trying something new, just like Tommy told Johnny when he saw Daniel with Allie. When Carmen suggests Applebee's, Johnny begins to recount the famous incident until they are interrupted. When Anthony talks to his dad about Cobra Kai, he begins to twist his point of view, similar to how Johnny did this to Miguel in Molting, and also Johnny doing this to Kreese in The Karate Kid. As Kenny is working on the practice dummy, this echoes to how Johnny is observing Miguel in the episode Strike First. This same dummy is also seen during the Cobra Kai video game in the All Valley level. When Daniel tells Anthony to think of the lessons like a video game, this is similar to how Miyagi tailored the chores as karate lessons for Daniel. Bloodsport gets brought up again with Chong Li cheating, throwing sand in the eye, and Johnny is impressed by Devin's admiration for Cynthia Rothrock, a martial arts movie star. Devin is seen breaking the guys in, similar to how Aisha did in Season 1. When Kenny singles out Anthony in the library, he holds Anthony in a similar manner to how Daniel held Chosen at the end of their fight in Karate Kid Part 2, and how Chosen held Daniel in Season 3. When Sam joins Miguel and Johnny in the warehouse, it's very similar to how she joins Robbie and Daniel in Mercy Part 2. As it's revealed that Anthony has been antagonizing Kenny, LaRusso of course is the real bully, no explanation needed. As Kreese and Silver talk about their past in Vietnam, they allude to the Minefields episode title and the actual minefield that they lost a comrade to. We also saw Kreese telling Silver "quiet," which clearly shows us where Johnny learned this from. The title Party Time is a reference to the quote that Kreese and Silver say to each other in Karate Kid Part 3 before fighting Mr. Miyagi. We also see the return of Stingray, who hasn't been seen since Season 2. Stingray makes his return to the Cobra Kai dojo wearing the same headband he wore in the episode LOL. Lucille LaRusso also makes a return, as in every season except Season 3, she appears in that season's Episode 8. We are also introduced to Louis' sister Vanessa, who is played by Julia Macchio, Ralph Macchio's daughter. As the prom is a focus this season, this also correlates to the fourth Karate Kid film, The Next Karate Kid, also having a prom as part of the film, and Julie, a Miyagi-Do student, being picked up by her date Eric, which is echoed by Miguel picking up Sam, a Miyagi-Do student. Shannon also makes a return this season, telling Johnny about Terry Silver's plans to sink his talons into Robbie. The Binary Brothers are seen at the prom, off in the corner observing similar to how they did at the Halloween dance in Season 1. Although Amanda makes a joke about Vanessa being Marissa Tomei, Vanessa gives a very similar explanation in the manner of Marissa's character Mona Lisa Vito in the film My Cousin Vinny, another film Ralph Macchio starred in. Johnny visiting the Cobra Kai dojo echoes what Daniel did to confront Silver in Karate Kid Part 3, and Silver tells Johnny that he's breaking and entering, the same thing Daniel told Kreese when he showed up at Miyagi-Do. Robbie's wearing a similar jacket to what Daniel wore in the Karate Kid Part 2, even going as so far to dipping Tori like Daniel dipping Kumiko at the dance, and also mentioning that his mom was his dance partner, just like Lucille was Daniel's dance partner growing up. The original Cobra Kai dojo makes a return as we see some flashbacks and is in a similar state with paint cans lying around, just like in Karate Kid Part 3. Johnny and Silver have a fight with similar music cues heard in Karate Kid 3, with Johnny showing off his Miyagi-Do defense that he learned from Daniel. Terry also tells Johnny to "come on, pretty boy," in the same manner he told Miyagi, "come on, little man." Johnny also falls into planks of woods, similar to Silver having paint fall on top of him at the end of his fight with Miyagi. Silver asking Kreese if he wants to see some more just like he did back in 1985, but Kreese advises him to let him go in a nod to the Karate Kid Part 2. Sam says she's laying off the hard stuff, a nod to the house party in Season 2, while Daniel shows Anthony where he learned from Johnny. Sam and Tori meet up again with drinks, just like at Moon's house party in Season 2. In reverse of what happened at the school fight in Season 2, Sam starts the fight with Tori, Robbie's the one to pull Miguel off, and Robbie tells Miguel that Johnny doesn't love him, just like he told Robbie Sam didn't love him. This unique fight could also be a reference to Martin Kove's recent appearance on Dancing with the Stars, and with Tori pulling Robbie in at the end, this could also be a subtle reference to Let's Begin, where Tori gets a hit on Robbie. After coming home from the prom and helping a drunk Johnny to his bed, this echoes the scene where Daniel helps the drunk Miyagi to bed, though the scene ends in heartbreak. With Amanda commenting whatever Miyagi magic he learned from Johnny worked, this goes to make him realize that he and Johnny are different but same. The fall is a reference to what happens to Miguel at the end of this episode, and also what happened to him during Season 2. The song played during the episode's intro, It's Karate Time, echoes the similar sounds of Vince DiCola's compositions from the Rocky IV soundtrack. The title is also a nod to the phrase being said in this season and Season 1. As Miyagi-Do are introduced, there are references to both the wins at the 84 and 85 All-Valley tournaments, being steadily noted as the best around. As Cobra Kai are introduced, their 2018 win is noted by the announcer. The entire episode intro is similar to the introduction given last season with the episode The Good, the Bad, and the Badass. Kyler breaks the cement block similar to Johnny, though this time Kyler uses his head. As Robbie begins to demonstrate, he starts to use some of the same yells that Silver does near the end of his performance. Carrie Underwood's appearance is similar to James Brown making an appearance in Rocky IV, and sings a cover of The Moment of Truth in a similar montage echoing Daniel's montage from the first film. Bert this time doesn't get bodied compared to what happened in Season 1. In his match against Post, Miguel fights to the song Diaz vs. Stone, echoing Season 1. Post is also competing for the Locust Valley Karate Club, the same dojo that Daryl Vidal competed for. On asking if Miguel has a chance to win the tournament, Devin responds that he does, and Johnny says, good chance, just like Miyagi told Daniel before the finals match in 1984. Daniel gives Robbie one final lesson: never put passion in front of principle, something he learned from Mr. Miyagi at the beginning of the Karate Kid Part 2. Moon wishing Eli good luck is similar to Ali and Daniel talking about the tournament near the end of the film and golf and stuff, and parallels to Hawk's prior status as a bully. Eli also tells Daniel that he's never better, another subtle nod to Rocky III. Miguel's grandma has the munchies, more than likely after having smoked a joint just like she did the prior year. As the snake fight is being announced between both Robbie and Kenny, this is a subtle nod to the track of the same name that is played when Kreese and Johnny fight each other at the beginning of Season 2. During this match, Robbie later goes in with no guard, similar to Ivan Drago in his fight with Apollo Creed. When Eli goes to Miguel, he says, finally a worthy opponent, though this time in a friendly manner in a callback to the episode lull. Eli and Miguel also share a Cobra Kai-like handshake. After Miguel injures himself, this has a few different contexts to it. Apollo being taken out in Rocky IV, Miguel's injury from Season 2 being re-aggravated, Miguel screaming for his sensei like Daniel did in the first film's final cut and deleted scenes, and one of the shots from Ace Degenerate where Johnny is face down on the mat after the finals match with Daniel. Hawk checks up on Miguel on his right side once again, just like he did in Season 2. The rise has a few different contexts. This could mean the rise of Eli coming to terms with himself and his redemption arc coming full circle, the rise of Terry Silver taking over Cobra Kai, or the rise of Cobra Kai itself. We see that Miguel is being attended to by the same medic as seen in Season 1 with Robbie, and is advised that he no longer has to continue, just like Daniel being told by Miyagi. After facing Robbie, Eli tells Dimitri he has the high ground, in response to, I'm about to be slaughtered like a youngling, further making reference to Robbie being Anakin-like. When Anthony goes to apologize to Kenny, the scene plays out like Dutch confronting Daniel, only this time the LaRusso involved gets attacked. As Robbie tells Kenny that's not how he trained him, Kenny tells him no mercy, echoing what happened with Miguel and Johnny in Season 1. When Kreese talks to Johnny in the hallway, we see some unused footage from Karate Kid during the final match with Johnny and Daniel. As Hawk and Robbie fight once again in the All Valley, this time they are on opposite sides. This match echoes Mike Barnes vs. Daniel to an extent, with Robbie being unstoppable like Barnes was. We also have a timeout, just like in Season 1 and the first Karate Kid film. Similar to the Karate Kid Part 3, the match goes into sudden death to be decided by 1 point. Hawk bows to his sensei, just like Daniel did to Miyagi before the sudden death point. As Robbie and Hawk shred the top of their gi, this could be a subtle reference to the fight scene from the Cynthia Rothrock film, Undefeatable. Hawk does a shrug just like he did in Season 1 to make his back tattoo move. Another notable detail about this fight is that it's yin and yang, with Eli representing light and Robbie representing dark. Just like in the 85 All Valley, Miyagi-Do wins the male division once again after striking their opponent in the chest. When Robbie had the conversation with Daniel about their own way, this causes Daniel to remember Miyagi about having strong roots and growing his own way, so he asks for Johnny's help once more. Similar to the strong roots scene, Daniel is standing in the same place where he talked to Miyagi about the lesson. With Hawk building the bridge as he did, the water is now flowing under that bridge to work together. Thanks to Daniel, Johnny is finally addressed as a 2-time All-Valley champion. Before going back out to fight, Sam hugs her father like Daniel hugged Miyagi in Karate Kid 3. Sam is able to master the tornado kick, mimicking her father mastering the crane kick. She also performs the kata to focus, just like Daniel did back in 1985. In her stance, Sam has one open palm representing Miyagi-Do and one closed fist representing Eagle Fang. Tori begins to show some characteristics similar to Robbie Brown, saying "I didn't mean it" and asking about getting disqualified to Silver. Silver tells her to strike the other eye, quoting the Quicksilver method again: "If she can't see, she can't fight." Kreese has a revelation and protests Tori about fighting her way thanks to some unused footage from Karate Kid Part 2. Tori asks Sam if she's okay, paralleling to Johnny checking on Robbie in Season 1. Cobra Kai ultimately wins back-to-back, similar to Miyagi-Do winning back-to-back in 1984 and 1985. Silver goes on to make a speech similar to Karate Kid Part 3, as Sam remarks she did the right thing and still lost, like Johnny did in Season 3 after the events of Season 2. Just like his convoluted plan in Karate Kid Part 3, Silver makes another plan by beating up Stingray and having Stingray frame Kreese. He also mentions he can dig up a friend or two to help him with Cobra Kai, referring possibly to Snake, Dennis, and Mike Barnes. Like looking at a mirror, Robbie remarks that he screwed up like his father, losing again like he did in Season 1, and Johnny losing in Karate Kid, as they make up and try to bury the hatchet. Last but not least, we see the return of Chosen, agreeing to help Daniel and saying Yosh like Mr. Miyagi did, wearing all black to symbolize him being the master. Let's talk about some correct predictions, observations, and some overall notes about the season. Let's first talk about Robbie's character briefly. I'll be doing a follow-up video on his character as a continuation of my first video on him, but Robbie's development was definitely one of my favorites of the season. I had mentioned before that it was possible he would redeem himself, though it would depend on how they went about it in a matter of time. Although Chosen had no part in it, Chosen did make a reappearance at the very end of Season 4, and perhaps we can see an interaction between these two characters. Hawk, of course, was another favorite development of mine, and as I correctly deduced in some videos, Hawk ended up being a major contender in winning the male division of the All-Valley. Although I was wrong about him being jumped, as I assumed he'd be able to escape this, I'm glad we got to see even more of his arc and how he found peace within himself. It's been very interesting to see Miguel's arc also back in action, and I think it was good they went with the realistic approach of Miguel still not being 100% during the tournament. Perhaps we'll see a third fight in the future between Miguel and Robbie, but for now, I'm interested in the arc he has with meeting his real father, and Johnny being a part of that arc in Season 5. I do like how we got a little more of gray areas in both Tori and Sam, and while we can see Tori is on the path to redemption, little did I know that Amanda would help play a hand in that, a complete long shot of my previous guesses. Last but not least, we can't not talk about the dynamic between Silver and Kreese, with Silver usurping Kreese from Cobra Kai. I also love the flashback scene where it shows how Silver became so wealthy and why they had to split ways in the beginning. This also goes back to my previous video, the Karate Kid Inspired Art of Fighting, where Silver's counterpart, Robert Garcia, was also set up as a successor to his father's company to take it over. I definitely recommend you checking out this video to see some surprising similarities if you haven't done so already. I also love the role reversal with Anthony and Kenny, and I'm also interested to see how this arc plays out in Season 5. There's just so many great things about this season that I can't wait to make more videos on, and I'm hoping you guys will be here with me for the ride. Let me know what you guys think down below. What was your favorite part of Season 4? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it, subscribe, share it with your friends, and comment, as these all help my channel grow. Shout out to my Twitch subscribers and YouTube members, I appreciate the support. If you'd like to directly support the channel, consider becoming a member and enjoy perks such as behind the scenes updates, access to the VIP Discord, shoutouts and videos, and more. Thanks for watching, stay beautiful, stay awesome, we'll catch you around next time.